you if I get anything wrong here, Laura. So you've been in the Eagle Valley for 10 years, correct?
Yeah, going on 11 now.
Great, great. And you've worked for the district for 3 years.
Correct.
Great. Yeah. So over the last 3 years, in that time, I came on the CSCB May 1st of last year, and I've gotten to know my districts, and Eagle County is doing some interesting things. And as this year progresses, we want to get districts to kind of showcase East Slope, West Slope, what they have done with their districts and how they have motivated different programs and stuff. And Laura's going to kick off what Eagle County Conservation District has done um, to build capacity and so on. And they got a lecture coming up, a mill levy election on the ballot. So she's going to tell us the steps of that. And yeah, so without further ado, we'll let Laura take it away here. So thank you, Laura, for being here.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you all for having me. I'm really excited about the direction that the Conservation District is heading in. And as Dustin said, I've been with the Eagle County Conservation District now for 3 years, which is really exciting because I finally feel like I have my feet on the ground. But I still may be, well, I mean, every day I'm learning new things, and especially as we kind of head towards a mill levy. But a little bit of a background about myself. So I've been in Colorado since I was about 12 years old. Fell in love with Colorado immediately. I ended up going to school at CSU for a teaching degree. And that seems like 10 to 15 years ago now. And with that, I ended up traveling around the world, and I taught English to students all over the place. And as much as I loved it, I was kind of deciding that that wasn't necessarily for me. And so but from all my travels, I really got into sustainability and ecotourism and local agriculture. And so I decided to move to go to CMC to get my second degree in sustainability and to focus on agriculture. And through that, I was really grateful. I had a wonderful opportunity to intern for Vale Honey Wagon to bring on their commercial composting program. And that kind of led me to working for the Eagle County Conservation District. So the gal who hired me, the woman who hired me, Sean Bruckman, some of you may know her. She is a soil health guru and is on the soil health committee or the soil board for the STAR program as well. And she told me about this position that was opening up for the conservation district and thought that I would be a great fit for it. And kind of explained to me that they were expanding their funding and looking for more of a part-time employee. And so I had no idea what conservation districts were. I did my research, applied for the job, got hired for the job, and essentially was hired to work part-time, so 20 hours a week, to do more grant writing and to bring more funding for the district for landowners and our constituents, because the employee prior to me was only putting in about 10 hours a month. So 3 years ago, the Eagle County Conservation District was very inactive and essentially was just doing the bare necessities to remain active, and was working with something like a $5,000 budget for noxious weeds. And the reason why I'm kind of unfolding that story is because 3 years ago, we really there wasn't really much that the conservation district was doing. And the way that they were able to hire me was by building a partnership with Eagle County. So 3 years ago, our board decided to reach out to the county and ask for some funding to be able to hire a part-time grant writer or a part-time district manager to help bring more funding and programming into Eagle County, which many of those funds, as you all know, flush into our lands. And so they were able to hire me to work part-time to do more grant writing. And before I get too ahead of myself, you can just kind of see here, this is 2022 through 2024, all the programs that we're very grateful to have been awarded through grants. And within 3 to 4 years, we were able to bring in a little under $2.5 million. Now these funds are spanned out over the course of 3 years, but it's amazing to see what even just part-time help can do. And very quickly, I went from part-time to full-time to include capacity through the capacity that was included in a lot of these grants. And I'll go over each of them here shortly, but I just kind of wanted to start the conversation off by saying how important it is to have this partnership with the county and how grateful we are to have that contract going with them. And so the first grant we were awarded, and it's kind of a funny story because when I was first hired, the very first board meeting I ever attended was, and mind you, I have no idea what conservation districts are. I had never heard of them before. And I joined this board meeting to kind of gain a better understanding, and a representative from the NRCS was there presenting on virtual fencing. And here I am sitting there wondering, what in the heck is virtual fencing? I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of conservation districts before. What did I get myself into? This looks like an electric dog collar. This is so exciting. But at the same time, they're talking about this nationwide grant that they want me to apply for when I'd never even heard of a virtual fencing collar. And so we did receive the award through the NRCS for the Conservation Innovation Grant, and there is no way I could have accomplished it or received this award without the collaboration from all of our partners involved. And so the local NRCS office had a huge play in building out this grant. And we also had a tremendous amount of support from the BLM and from the local Forest Service team to help build out this grant, define what it is we're looking to do, and to help me kind of put it all together, knowing that I was fairly unfamiliar with what virtual fencing is. And so we received the grant, and this was 3 years ago. And so of course, virtual fencing is a new and innovative technology, but even 2 to 3 years ago, really not very many people were doing it. And I really owe all our thanks to our local BLM office for being so proactive. And, Christy Wallner, she essentially was like, this is going to revolutionize ranching. You guys need to apply for this. This is going to be awesome. And it kind of gave me a direction or something to work towards, because as I was hired, I was like, I don't really know what to do, but sure, I'll research virtual fencing and I'll head in that direction. And so now here we are 2 years later, and we are working with 9 local ranchers. We have 3,000 cows collared. The Eagle County Conservation District has 9 base stations set up locally, but I'm pretty sure with BLM, we're pushing 15 or so base stations within the region. And we're also working on 48 test plots. So part of the reason why we received this grant is because we are the largest in the nation studying the efficacy of this technology at the rangeland scale. And so we decided to partner with CSU Extension to help build a study that will help support our findings. And I think the NRCS is really excited and looking forward to hearing what our findings show. So we are collecting yearly data on vegetation metrics, containment success rates, and rancher experiences through the technology to help create this baseline for future studies. And so we are heading into year 3, and it's a 4-year project. And we're just really grateful and excited to kind of see how these findings play out. And again, we couldn't have done it without the support from our county, our local federal agencies, so our local NRCS, BLM, and Forest Service offices. And then again, a huge amount of thanks to CSU Extension and Retta Brugger for putting together this study, because it's, again, entering new territory, and it took a long time to figure out how we would even test the feasibility of this technology. And then around the same time, the STAR program, the STAR Plus program, was also coming into play. It had never existed before in Colorado, and it was a new program. And I feel pretty grateful that it came out right around the time as I was being hired. Again, I wasn't really sure what my role was or what I was to do. And so this kind of helped provide me with a general direction, and it seemed like a great opportunity to engage ranchers and producers to improve their soil health practices. And so 2 years ago, we were awarded for the first 6 producers through the CIG grant. And then again, this last year, through the CMS grant. And so we're now working with 7 producers and 1 open space, and Eagle County open space, which is, I'm really excited to kind of explore with. I think it'll be a great opportunity to have demonstration projects hosted there and get more of the non-agricultural community involved in understanding what our local producers are accomplishing. And so we're working with over 500 acres now, and they are all hay fields. So some of the approved practices that we have been working with are incorporating diverse native seed blends, incorporating legumes, so peas, radishes, red clovers, sainfoin, things like that. We have worked with producers who are adding compost tea, vermicompost. Other producers are exploring biochar, as well as biosolids from our Eagle River Water and Sanitation District. We have been incorporating a lot of no-till drilling, and also approving technology such as virtual fencing, which I think is really cool. We've also been working with approved equipments, or approved equipments that have been awarded for producers are things like a no-till drill, a harrow, or manure spreader. And I think really what I like about this program, and I know it's a new program and they're trying to get their feet on the ground and it's kind of a learning experience, but then again, so is it for me. It's a learning experience as I was being hired. And one thing I love the most about the STAR Plus program is the capacity and the support that they provide for conservation districts. In all the grants I have written, in all the funds that I have been awarded, I have never received so much money or seen so much money provided simply for capacity, and to spend these funds at your will. And I think that that's a really great option to have, and it really is encouraging for producers to make better soil health practices, but it also provides so much opportunity for conservation districts to grow. And I don't think we would have been able to be where we are today and have hired more help, which we're now working with a team of 3. We wouldn't have been able to have gotten there without those funds and without this program. So I'm really excited to continue watching it grow, for it to continue to learn, and for it to help benefit the producers and conservation districts in general. The support they provide for conservation districts is absolutely immense. And I think it's a really great program to engage in if you aren't already. Another project that we were awarded, this was a one-time project through the Colorado Department of Agriculture. So it was the Agricultural Drought Resiliency Program through the 2022 drought stimulus. And so we essentially were awarded $100,000 and decided to provide that through 13 different projects, and awarded $10,000 to $15,000 per project, and essentially worked with water rights holders and landowners to help improve their headgates, flumes, and pipes for more water efficiency. Again, this was only a 1-year project, but it's something that was incredibly successful, and we're really hoping to continue to do that in the future, to bring that back again. Now, another program that we are still kind of unfolding now, we launched it last fall, but rebates and award money won't really be going out until this spring. But this is our Beyond Lawn program. And essentially, we designed it to target all of our constituents. So as Eagle County landscapes are changing, and urbanization is kind of unfolding around us, we really are trying to help landowners large and small. And so this was really and the way we came up with this program is we did a lot of outreach to our local community. So local partners, local municipalities, the county, local organizations that have similar lines of work in natural resources. We kind of reached out to them, and we tried to determine what the local natural resource needs are for smaller landowners, or what we consider backyard gardeners. And so we again partnered with CSU Extension, as well as our local nonprofit Eagle River Watershed Council, to put together a grant for water-wise landscaping. And this was a grant that we were awarded through the Colorado River District and Colorado Water Conservation Board. So 2 CWCB grants. We received the turf replacement grant and then a water plan grant. And essentially what we are offering now are landscape and irrigation evaluations. And we are actually making that a requirement in order to apply for a turf replacement or irrigation system rebate. And so we have trained our staff to be able to go onto a property and evaluate their landscapes, as well as their irrigation, so that we can provide efficient or recommendations that would be most efficient to provide the best return of investment as you consider either replacing your turf or upgrading your irrigation system. And essentially, we want return of investment. We're talking fiscally for the landowner, right? It makes most sense for them to start here and do this. That'll make the best financial decision in terms of decreasing your water bills, but then also for water savings. So we're really excited about this project. We did our first round of landscape and irrigation evaluations last fall, and we'll start rewarding our rebates this spring. And so we're kind of slowly starting to enter into year 2, but essentially just launching this program. And through this grant, we're also building demonstration gardens throughout the county. So I think it's a really great opportunity to get our name out there and to promote water-wise and outdoor water efficiency through these gardens. And essentially, we will have 3 demonstration plots up and down the valley with and we get to have our name, a little plaque with our name on it, Eagle County Conservation District, and kind of showcase all the different water-wise or native plants. And it's just a beautiful garden and a beautiful opportunity to show how our native landscapes can look, rather than with something like a Kentucky bluegrass turf. We're also doing DIY workshops. So we're hosting workshops to help teach landowners how to convert their landscapes on their own, so that it's more cost efficient. And then we're also doing rain barrel workshops, where we buy the rain barrels, provide it for the participants, and they get to build their own rain barrel and kind of learn about the importance of capturing their own rainwater. And then lastly, we're doing a lot of HOA outreach. So trying to connect or shorten that barrier from HOAs and residents on the importance of replacing turf. So HOA water rates are rising, landowners' water rates are rising. It used to be that HOAs could require turf, which is no longer the case. The state has overridden that rule. And so it's more so educating HOAs on how they as well can save water through things like turf replacement and upgrading their irrigation systems. And then another thing that we've kind of started to build for the past couple of years, I think we're heading into year 2 or 3 with our grass and seed sales, is developing. So we partnered again with the NRCS and CSU Extension to develop our own native resilient grass blends. And so none of these blends can be found anywhere else. And they have great mixes that are a combination of native, drought tolerant, and we offer them and sell them locally. So it's becoming pretty successful. And we're going on to year 2 and have sold close or around 250 acres worth of seed. And so we have a dry native mountain mix, which is really good for reclamation purposes. And the county participates and open space participates in purchasing these seeds a lot. We have a semi-irrigated pasture mix for agricultural producers. We have a fine fescue blend, which we often sell with our native wildflower. So the bottom right photo, you can kind of see it's just establishing now. That's kind of going on the first few months as it kind of grows in together. But our backyard gardeners or our small landowners really appreciate this blend because it's a great alternative to that turf look. And so we kind of designed that fine, or sorry, not the fine fescue blend. Fine fescue blend is the top right corner, my apologies. Which is also a more drought tolerant. It's not native, but it's a slightly more drought tolerant than something like a Kentucky bluegrass. But then the low grown native is what we have been encouraging landowners, or what's really popular, to combine with our native wildflower, which is that bottom right photo. And then the Conservation District has always had a noxious weed cost share program, but recently we have received a new grant through National Fish and Wildlife Foundation through the America the Beautiful grant. And so we're pretty excited to receive this grant. We originally had a 50-50 cost share program for noxious weeds with a maximum of $500. And we were really only working with a $2,500 budget with Eagle County matching that same amount of money. And so through this grant, we were really able to increase those numbers and start to make some real changes and work with much larger landscapes. So now we can offer a 75-25 cost share to really help incentivize the push for eradicating noxious weeds, and we can award landowners up to $2,000 each. We also have a section in that application where we will help fund you, or if there's room to help fund, we will pay for you to revegetate that landscape if need be with native and resilient grasses. So those are all the programs that we have going right now. And as fun as grant writing is, it's also incredibly challenging, incredibly time consuming. And it's, it's also a little heartbreaking because you put your heart and soul into all these grants and you build all of these programs, but they only last X amount of years. And I'm already at the stage where our grants are going to slowly start to disappear. And some of these programs I really, myself and the board and the county really want to see to be self-sustaining year after year. And so the Conservation District is really working really hard right now to adapt and evolve with local development changes, as I kind of mentioned before. So we are constantly trying to grow and develop new programs and strategies to address all of our constituents. And so that's kind of where like the Beyond Lawn program comes into play. And but again, the unfortunate truth is that these grants are going to go away here soon. And so we have been collaborating with all of our partners and doing a tremendous amount of outreach to explore different methods to provide sustainable programs or sustainable funding for these programs. Again, all of these grants or all of these programs are grant funded and they're non-renewable. And so just last summer, the Eagle County Conservation District an opinion survey to our registered voters. We worked with Magellan Strategies to put this opinion survey together. And essentially, we wanted to gain inquiry should the Conservation District go to elections. Would our voters support that? And they were very supportive, and which made us really excited. We're kind of working with 40,000 voters. And so I'll kind of get to that next. But again, a few other priority of interests in Eagle County are these top 3 or these top 4 tiers right here. So people are really interested in wildfire. And of course, none of this is a surprise, but we were really excited to kind of see the results. So landowners are really interested in wildfire mitigation, reduction of water loss. So again, that outdoor water efficiency. They really appreciate our noxious weed cost share program, and then turf conversion. And so we're continuing to work with our partners to determine how we can sustain programs for the long term to address these natural resource concerns. And then here is just kind of a little outline of if an election were held today, would our constituents vote yes and approve the property tax increase, or would they vote no to reject it? So the total yes approved votes were 57%, with 8% undecided. And that was enough for our board last summer to determine that we will continue our outreaching efforts to go to ballot next fall. So fall of 2020, so fall of this year, 2024, this upcoming presidential election. And so should the Conservation District go to an elections this fall, we would be attempting to secure the smallest mill levy. So 0.15 mill levy rate, or 1/6 of a mill. And essentially what that equates to is a home of value at around $750,000 would equate to a $7.60 annual tax, or less than $1 a month. And that's kind of the language that we're really pushing on our voters to assure them that, hey, it's really, at the end of the day, tax rates are increasing and it's really frustrating and hard and pretty unaffordable, but we're only looking for $7.60 a year. And those dollars will essentially come back into programs, cost shares, rebates in your lands, in your backyard. And essentially the amount of money that that brings for us, with a total assessed value of over 4.4 billion, is that would rope in roughly $660,000 for the Conservation District annually. And that kind of equates to about the budget that we're currently working with right now. This slide kind of shows about the cost of how much it's going to be for us to conduct an election. I'll kind of start by saying we have approached the Eagle County clerk and recorder, and it also has to do with the fact that we're going up against a presidential election. But they are stating, the county is stating that they don't have the capacity to help us conduct this. And primarily that is because they have never worked with the Title 35 special district before. And it's a bit too much for them to help determine our voter list, which we're looking at, again, roughly 40,000 people. And so we have taken on the challenge of conducting this election on ourselves. And so the direct costs alone are $120,000, just looking at printing, mailing ballots, mailing Tabor notices, and just other general election costs. And then there's the education and outreach component. We've clearly, or Eagle County Conservation District has never fundraised before. So we had to set aside some money to hire a fundraiser, again, for more printing and things like public relations and communications. And so we have started our fundraising campaign for $200,000, and we've actually just secured a spot at Splendido, which is a really nice restaurant up in Beaver Creek, and tonight. And I'm really excited to kind of put together the next steps about what this fundraising event is going to look like. And then this slide is just to kind of show how we got to where we are today, from a $5,000 budget to over a $500,000 budget and heading towards elections. So we, again, when I was first hired, we were working with $5,000. The district manager prior to me was putting in 10 hours a month, just doing the bare necessity to remain active. And so through our contract with the county, we were able, the conservation district was able to hire me as a district manager part-time to do more grant writing, which through those grants and large in part through the STAR program, with all the capacity support they provided, I was able to get bumped up to full-time to help build programs, cost shares, education outreach, and staffing. So through our virtual fencing project, we were able to hire our first technician full-time. And just recently, we were also awarded the DCT grant through the Inflation Reduction Act. So we are officially a team of 3, and it's really exciting to kind of help build our staff. And should we be successful with a mill levy, we're hoping to have a team of 5 or more. And then the way that we're getting to our mill levy is through all of this outreach. We hired a public relations consultant, and we really would not have been able to be where we are today without his support and his help. And the amount of coffee dates that we have had, that I have had with our local municipalities, towns, county, local organizations, any and every partner that you could ever imagine, we have sat down and had coffee with numerous times to really engage with the community, build those partnerships, and to help expand on our programming based on the needs of what our local partners, where can the conservation district fill the gap? And so we have the power and the privilege to do that. And so that kind of led then to sending out this countywide opinion survey to determine, is the conservation district ready to go to elections? And we did that with Magellan Strategies, and our 57% of voter approval led the board into the direction. And again, this was last summer. So we essentially thought, well, we have 1 year to continue to increase those numbers and to continue to increase support for the conservation district and our efforts. And again, the language that we're using is through that opinion survey saying, hey, this is going to cost you roughly $7.60 a year, but those dollars are going to come back in rebates and cost share programs for things like fuels mitigation and outdoor water efficiency and overall adaptive and resilient land management strategies. All of these natural resource concerns, all of these natural resources that are of concern to you. So if you can provide us $7.60 a year, we can essentially funnel those funds back in amounts of $500,000 a year. And so that's kind of the language that we're using in our campaign process. And again, because the county is unable to provide, and they're really great, they really are great, and they support us in our efforts, but county clerk and recorder does not have the capacity to conduct this election on behalf of us. And so the cost to go to elections for 40,000 voters is going to be roughly $200,000. And that's where we've raised our fundraiser to help explore grants, the grant aspect for fundraising. And this is kind of where it gets tricky, because we are essentially fundraising to go to elections. And that is very tricky. It's very challenging. We're trying to use the language that this is a one-time ask. If you can help us now, we will no longer have to come back and ask for support again because we will have those sustainable funds. And so we have received a lot of support, but it is very hard fundraising money when you have never done it before. So we're exploring grants, peer-to-peer opportunities for fundraising. We're reaching out to individual donors. We have received a lot of support from special districts and municipalities. And that through that fundraising, we need to raise $200,000 by this April. So fingers crossed that we can get there. And that will, while we're doing that, we have started the legal and election process. So determining our eligible voters is incredibly challenging and way more difficult than I could have ever perceived. So we essentially need to cross-reference and combine, our constituents who are our landowners, who do we represent? And so figuring out our county, if you haven't already done so, you need to make sure that you're working with your boundaries and municipalities to determine what those boundaries are and who your landowners are, and then cross-referencing that with eligible Colorado voters. And it gets kind of tricky. We've had to hire an attorney to help define that language. So do LLCs count, and corporations, and small issues like that, it's a very time consuming process. And we're kind of in the middle of determining what that voter list looks like for us. And so we've also hired an attorney to help certify the ballot language. We are already in the process right now of securing printers as they are heading to a presidential election. We are hoping, or we're going to need to have a printer secured because we're going to be printing out 40,000 Tabor notices, 40,000 ballots and sleeves, and just kind of having all of that dialed down almost a year prior to elections is incredibly important. And then we're also in the process of fundraising for an issues committee so that come end of August, the conservation district and myself are going to be kind of more hands-off. We're not going to be able to advocate on behalf of our work anymore. It's going to kind of fall into the issues committee. And that is just kind of how we got from a $5,000 budget to heading to elections within 3 years. And I believe that's all I have for you all. So thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have. I'm always available for a phone call, or you can shoot me an email as well. If you have any questions or comments or any help as well, we're always looking for support as we head to elections. And I think it's a really exciting time for us right now. It's also a very nerve-wracking time. But I do believe that we will get there, and I'm fairly confident that we'll be successful, all said and done.
Great. Thank you, Laura, for all that information. That's a jam-packed 3 years that you've been there. So
yeah, it's been a lot, but it's been really exciting.
So yeah, it's open to any questions for Laura right now. If anybody has any questions about anything she presented on, or any questions in general. Yeah, I think everybody's got it. And as always, we'll post this recording onto the coffee hour. Garth, I don't know how we'll do that in the next week or two, probably. So we'll post our coffee hour onto our website, and you can refer back to it. And Laura's contact information is on there as well. So reach out to her. Looks like they're doing quite a bit with the mill levy and trying to get fundraising for that to go to election. Laura, thank you again. And I think this concludes our coffee hour for the 14th of February, if there are no further questions. Thank you again, and we're going to go ahead and end this coffee hour. Thank you, Laura, and can you stay online just for a little bit longer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you
great.
all so
Thank
much.
you.